when we also talk about Vision 2030, it's not just about the social and cultural change in the country. It's about re-engaging in the region. How can we bring tensions down? Now, Iran, I don't need to repeat history for you. Yes, it's attacked us. Yes, it has had malevolent activities, not just towards us, but towards you. But what would it look like if we were more hopeful? What would it look like to the conversations that we were just listening to say, let me see what I can do to make sure my youth and your youth can live better, can have more opportunities. And their youth and our youth will not thank us if we don't take this opportunity to listen to each other and try to work together. It does not mean they agree with us with everything we do, and it doesn't mean we agree with them. Yes, we're still concerned about nuclear. No, we're never going to transgress any international law, regulation, or resolution. But we feel we owe it to our neighborhood to de-escalate. And it's not just with Iran. It's exactly why we're having conversations with Syria. We have millions of displaced people, and the status quo hasn't worked. We're looking at displaced people who could be the second group as large as the Palestinian displaced nations that are in Jordan, they're in Syria, they're in Lebanon, they're in Turkey. These people deserve to go home. And so we as the Arab League have said, by unanimous consensus, what would it look like rather than the status quo if we did engage and tried to do this better? And if it doesn't work, and we go back to where we were, but we owe people a chance.
It was China that negotiated this rapprochement, and China has been moving into the region in big ways. Do you see that as a vacuum left by the United States?
No, not really, because we're supremely and ultimately aligned with the U.S. and U.S. policies, particularly when it comes to regional activities in the Middle East. But if I could also share, we had already done negotiations through Iraq. We've done negotiations through Kuwait. We've done negotiations through Oman. We've done them directly. And so I think one of the most important things is to keep trying. Because if we don't keep trying, we will create these assumptions about what other people think, and it will not lead to a healthy resolution. You do not want a nuclear Iran pointing itself at the rest of us. You don't want us poking and prodding. You don't want Israel poking and prodding. You don't want the Iranians aiming at Israel. You don't want any of that. We see what war looks like. We see it with Russia and Ukraine. Why would we not take that moment and step back and say, we think there could be a better way? And we fundamentally, as the kingdom, believe diplomacy should be the first track, not violence.
Does that extend to supporting China trying to mediate between Israel and the Palestinians?
We support anyone who's willing to talk to anyone. It just is the right thing to do.
Can you see China also trying to negotiate between the kingdom and Israel?
You know, the kingdom has a policy, which is we believe in a two-state solution. We want to see a thriving Israel. We want to see a thriving Palestine. Vision 2030 talks about a unified, integrated, thriving Middle East. And last I checked, Israel was there. We want a thriving Red Sea economy. We want our African partners and neighbors to thrive. That is the ultimate goal. But the resolution has to come with equitable peace and dignity of living for both parties. I don't think there's any Israeli mother that wakes up every morning celebrating rockets coming over. I don't think there's one Palestinian mother that celebrates her son or daughter losing their life for this conflict. It's been too long. And I'll tell you, my father was our ambassador for 23 years to the United States. I mourned those 23 years. Those were 23 years. He lived on an airplane, and many of you who've known him in this room know he dedicated his life to solving this situation. So nothing would give me more pleasure than to be Saudi Arabia's first female diplomat in the United States of America and see a resolution to the Palestinian-Israeli crisis, because it's a crisis that robbed me of my father. And so I want to see it ended. But when we think about Vision 2030 for an integrated Middle East, how phenomenal would it be for any of you here who have a Jewish faith, who've gone and done trips to Israel, to actually feel more safe going to Israel? How many Muslim people in this room, or friends of yours who are Muslim, would feel wonderful to be able to go to Bethlehem and pray, or to Jerusalem, or to land and go to their home and see where their grandparents were? What a beautiful story would that be on the Ideas Fest in Aspen, Colorado, to have somebody tell us that story, and I hope I live to see that day.
But